My name's Ely Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. All right, welcome back, my friends. Ely Delaney here, and today's guest, we've got somebody who I recently got connected to through another networking group, the Connected Leaders Academy, and she did a presentation for the group. It was awesome. We ended up booking a call afterwards and getting to know each other, and she's got some pretty cool stuff. So my guest today is Sally Gimon. In 2019, she worked as a full-time Medicare broker, and she leased 7 bank-owned properties and ran into a little situation where she ended up having to get on a payment plan with the IRS because of capital gains, which led her to a whole bunch of stress, frustration. If you've ever been in that kind of situation where all of a sudden you owe a whole bunch of taxes you're not aware of, this is where her story kind of gets going. And she ended up coming into finding out about what we call the trust that the Rockefellers have. And that's the cool thing about it. It's the same kind of thing that the big name families have been around and they've been using for generations. And a lot of us don't really know about this. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring her on the show to kind of share her story, what's going on, and to teach you a little bit about some of the things you probably don't know, because let's face it, most of us don't know this stuff when we first start out, especially when we're in business, we're starting to get into investments, all that kind of fun stuff. And so right now, what she does is she helps US-based owners, 1099 income earners, and investors save on federal tax, just like she does with the Spendthrift Trust. So welcome, Sally. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eli. I need you to introduce myself more often. You do a great job.
Thank you. Awesome. So tell us a little bit, kind of expand on that story, because I read your bio, but expand on that story a little bit. How did you get into, what you're doing today?
Thank you. In my national real estate group, I was in the Phoenix office. We were meeting in person every Wednesday night. My national real estate group, one of the instructors, Garrett Gunderson, wrote a book called What the Rockefellers Do. I had a paperback copy of this. When I started investing in 2018 and then 2019, I was a rock star. Everybody in my real estate group was like, way to go, Sally. And I had a huge, big loser on my forehead because I'm on a payment plan with the IRS. In July of 2020, I took down the deal of the week, a $20,000 bank-owned house that was going to go to auction for $50,000. So that $30,000 spread in between, that's where I'm going to get charged capital gains. Because I was on a payment plan, I went from 22% to 24%. There's 7 different layers, 10% to 37%, 7 different layers. Because of that, I knew my taxes on this property would be $7,100 when everything opened up again. July 2020, we're in the middle of COVID. The courts are closed. Auction houses are all closed. So I went back to the paperback book I had and started Googling, my background's competitive intelligence, so I know how to research. I found the private law firm that wouldn't talk to me. They're like, no, we don't do this. But I knew they had the trust. And then I had to find a distributor who worked for them. I became a client, and then I started doing a mastermind. First female in my Phoenix office doing a mastermind for real estate investors. I don't know if you know this, Eli. Most real estate investors are men, which good for them, but I do well with this. And never looked back. I started my own company in March of 2020 because for real estate investors, no capital gains, interest income, rental income, royalty income, and dividend income. But it also helps U.S. business owners and 1099 income earners save federal income taxes. And if you're in an ugly state like New York, Illinois, or California, where you have state income taxes, it'll save them too. And my business has just taken off from there. And I just want to get information out to people because we don't know it. We're not taught this in school or anything.
Right. So tell me a little bit about what are some of the basic clients that you're working with right now? Are they self-employed? Are they small business owners like you and I are? I mean, that's because you can use the term small business. I don't really like that term, but we tend to be solopreneurs is another version of that too. Do you have a lot of clients like that, or do you have people that are more in that real estate space? I mean, kind of give me a variety of where you're coming from.
one of my clients, my favorite pizzeria here in the Charlotte area, I had taken my friend Ingrid door knocking on a Saturday back in February 2023. We go into the pizzeria. He's got the best white pizza. That's why we go there. So we're sitting there, we're chit-chatting for about 2 hours. As we got up to leave, Roberto, the owner of the pizzeria, he and his wife have 2 pizzerias in the area. They're making about $15,000 every single month gross income. They know their tax rate is 22% and they filed jointly. And in 2022, they paid, I'm making up these numbers because I don't have them in front of me, at least $31,000 in taxes. I explained to Roberto, most of my clients, I can save them at least 70%. And when you start taking deductibles, you're going to get up to 90 to 95% in saving federal taxes. In 2022, I saved 92% on my 3 online businesses. Not trying to crow, but it's beautiful. So a week later, I met his wife, and Marianne and Roberto, at the pizzeria. They had their 2022 taxes there. I showed them the formula, and we're going to save them almost $22,000 every single year at 70%. Roberto says, don't tell me about the icing on the cake. Let's just do 70%. Well, they're small business people. In 2000, again, they've got 2 very well-established pizzerias. In 2024, a full year saving taxes, they're going to open a 3rd pizzeria. 2025, they're going to open a 4th pizzeria with the savings. And when they retire in 35, they'll save 2 pizzerias. They'll give 2 pizzerias to one child, 2 pizzerias to another child. Their children will not pay any inheritance tax. They won't pay any 1099 income either. And they don't have to worry about going through probate when their parents die. This just goes from generation to generation. It's an amazing thing.
Awesome. And one of the things you bring up something about this that I think a lot of people don't really understand what a trust really is. You know, we've heard the term, and depending on where we come from, like I've got several clients that I work with that work in wealth creation, so I understand more about it than your average bear, basically. So kind of explain, how does that work versus what we're used to of, okay, I've got my widget, I'm going to start selling my widget, I'm going to go get my business, and we go out and we do our thing, and the next thing we know, a whole bunch of that money goes to the government. Tell us what a trust is and how does it act, and put it in the most simple term you can think of. Because just remember, a lot of us don't know what this really is. This might be new concepts to realize that, first of all, a lot of us don't realize how easy it is. I mean, it's actually stuff that we can do,
exactly,
but we just don't know better. So kind of explain that a little bit better for me.
Excellent. Currently, 97% of all trusts sold in the United States are what my mom and dad had, what Susie Orman talks about on PBS television. It's only to avoid going through probate when someone dies. This is not your mom and dad's trust. This is what the Barron families, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Carnegies, and the Kennedys put into the tax code back in February of 1913. That's when our current tax code went into effect, and it was only supposed to be around for 6 years. They wanted to save taxes, and I have articles from Forbes magazine that talks about this, saying how this is legal. There are 5 elements to this trust. The main element that's different, it's irrevocable. That means it goes from generation to generation. It's non-grantor. When my mom and dad set up the Gimon Family Trust, it was only the 2 of them. They set it up, and then it dissolved when they passed away. This is a non-grantor. So when you start the trust, you're going to have someone who's not a beneficiary sign up for the trust, sign away. They'll be the settler, and they'll be the trustee for 10 minutes. You will need their social security number. This is not a speed bump. Either I can do this for you free of charge, or another person at the law firm I work on behalf of. So irrevocable, non-grantor, discretionary. This trust can hold money month to month, year to year, decade to decade. When I dealt with my parents' estate, all their money has to be divided between my 2 brothers and I, and that all goes away. This just keeps going from generation to generation. So irrevocable, non-grantor, discretionary. I just went the wrong way. Spendthrift. This has been in front of the United States Supreme Court twice. I have 2 pages of case law where it's legal. And then the final one is that whoever is a trustee can make the rules for all the beneficiaries. I personally don't have any kids, but I have 9 nieces and nephews. If I decide I want to leave $10 to each one of my nieces and nephews, but my favorite nephew gets all my estate, they can't contest that in a will. The trust does get its own EIN or employee identification number, just like your LLC. And it's going to be a irrevocable trust that is recognized by the IRS. You will open a new bank account, and you will start having all your money go through the new bank account. I do have both the business trust and the beneficial trust, so I have two different bank accounts. So Crazy Sally has a red debit card and a blue debit card to keep track of which bank account I'm using.
And that is awesome. And one of the things that you just said something very important. It's like one of the things we do need to do is pay attention to where our money's coming and going from anyway. A lot of people don't do enough of that.
Awesome.
Exactly. So how long again have you been doing this as for helping other clients? Like helping other
I started my trust September of 2020.
Okay.
I started teaching in my mastermind, my real estate mastermind, September 2020. And then I started my own business March of 2022, middle of COVID. And I'm getting on podcasts like yours, Eli. I just talked on a public stage 2 weekends ago in Florida to a Bitcoin convention, because people need to know how to save money. I mean, not trying to make fun of Bitcoin investors, but one of my biggest videos on TikTok was a father who contacted me in August of 2020. He has twin sons who were going to go to college in New York. Father's going to sell 5 Bitcoins that he got back in, let's say, 2015 that went up, they went up quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying to him, you're going to pay capital gains on those Bitcoins. And he's like, yeah, but I'll pay for college. I'm like, yes, but April 15th of 2023, his tax bill was going to be over $19,000. Now, Dad was an IT guy, working for a company. He's like, I don't have $19,000 to pay. So it did take him about 7 weeks. He was on Coinbase. So we had to he started up the paperwork, didn't pay for the trust until we got everything worked out. On Coinbase, he had to change his account over to the new EIN number, then sold the Bitcoin to pay for his sons to go to college, then paid for the trust. And now he's brought me into his Bitcoin group. He runs a Bitcoin group, and I'm saving so many people. I mean, capital gains happens when you sell something, but it's good. There's 4 ways all the trusts are going to help you. Do you mind if I go over the 4 ways?
Yeah, go for it. Let's go ahead and share it.
Number 1, federal taxes. Everybody wants to save federal taxes. Number 2, keep your information 100% private. Most people work with an LLC, S Corp, or a C Corp. That's statutory law. I can write a Freedom of Information letter and put a stamped envelope into it and send it to the Corporation Commission or the Secretary of State of your state and say, tell me about this LLC, and they'll give me all that information free of charge. Number 3, I can't stop you from being sued, but the old adage from Nelson Rockefeller, own nothing, control everything. So the individual's worth nothing, everything's in the trust. Mm-hmm. And then number 4, I don't know if you know about this, Eli, but a new new thing that's going into effect January 1st from the Department of Treasury. It's part of the anti-money laundering system. If you are any entity in a state doing business as an LLC or corporation, you have until January 1st of 2025 to do the paperwork for the Treasury Department. If you start a new LLC doing business as or corporation, you have 30 days to do the paperwork or get charged $10,000 or 2 years in jail or both. And people don't know about it. They haven't announced this. It's going to happen in December. And the trust shields you from doing this paperwork every single year. Just to give you an idea, when I started my trust, I shut down 6 LLCs. If I hadn't done that, I would have had to do the paperwork 6 different times because of each LLC. So it's an ugly, ugly bill that's coming.
Nice. Well, that's something that, I mean, you definitely need to get that out more. Just let people know what that thing is, because a lot of times, again, business owners just don't know better. Especially in today's world, so many people are starting a business because they're an expert in something, and they get out. Maybe they're starting a coaching business. Maybe they decide they don't want to go back to working for a corporation, whatever their thing is. Maybe they've got some niche or something that they make, that's been a hobby, and now they want to make it a business.
Exactly.
The reality is there's all these different things that we as individuals don't know. And even those of us that are in the business community, we kind of live in our own bubble of that business community. And so there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. So what I love about what you're doing is the fact that you're putting out there and sharing some of these kind of things. And that's one of the things I think we need more of that. It's like, okay, if you're in business, here's something you need to be aware of. And we need to be pounded by all this stuff because of the fact that reality is we're not getting the information otherwise, because it's not like they're making it, oh, by the way, here's all the things you need to know, which is 552,000 things, which nobody's ever going to remember 99% of it anyway. And so it's like getting it out there. That's one reason why I wanted to bring you on the show, is to share some of this information, because this is stuff that we as entrepreneurs need to know. And most of the time we don't. And so here's a question for you. Is this the kind of stuff that should come up, that like our CPAs should be telling us, oh, by the way, you need to be doing this, or we need to take care of this for you because it's a new law coming in? Are they sharing this kind of information?
I honestly, I'm on a lot of newsletters. I've only had one CPA send me information about the Corporate Transparency Act. Some people are calling it the CTA. I don't like that. To me, it's called to action.
Mm-hmm.
But, most CPAs, I'm going to be honest, most CPAs and financial advisors have never heard of the Spendthrift Trust. There are 1 million attorneys in the United States. They only get 4 hours of trust law. That's why this family trust is the one that gets sold the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A textbook. This is not for you and I, Eli. This is for financial advisors, CPAs. A textbook that trust attorneys study is called Scott and Asher on Trust, the 5th edition. It does have, information about the trust in there. I'm not trying to crow, but Garrett Gunderson, he's an instructor in my real estate group.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in my real estate group could have researched like I did. I just have a background for competitive intelligence, and I was embarrassed. I'm going to be honest. Who gets on a payment plan with the IRS? I mean, like that's for losers, and I was one. But I want to help people. I'm in the mastermind that we were talking about. Someone there who is a public speaker just does very well on the public stages. They made an appointment with me, and he's like, I'm going to save almost 6 figures in taxes every single year. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, 80 at 70%, he's going to save $86,000 every single year in taxes. He can take that money, pay off his mortgage, buy a new car, take his family on a Disney cruise. He could start a new business with that $86,000. And I'm not sure how old he is, but let's say he's 50 and he's going to keep being a speaker for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. That's $860,000 he's going to save that he didn't know about. And I'm just using him as an example.
Right.
But, it's an amazing amount of money. And I wish people would talk about it. The articles I send to people from Forbes magazine, it talks about you need to be making $3 million at least. I'm like, no. I do well with my real estate investing. I want an average person to be able to save money. So to give you an idea, Eli, a gentleman joining, I'm using a man, the average Joe joining my national real estate group, he's 56 years old. He's probably married or divorced. He's probably at 22% tax rate. If he wholesales a house or does a fix and flip and makes $50,000 on that deal at 22%, he'll pay $11,000 in capital gains the next year. So if he sells it in November of 2023, April 15th, 2024, he'll pay that money. He does 2 of these deals in just 1 year, he's paid for the trust. And it's going to go from generation to generation to generation. So he's setting up a dynasty for his own family. I mean, I'm not calling myself the Rockefellers, but all my nieces and nephews, they too are going to be part of this trust. They're going to be trust babies, hopefully.
Nice. Very cool. Now, so here's a question for you, because you brought up a couple things with like the speaker who's doing really well and how much money he's going to save. How much money should you be making in your business to start looking at this as a serious thing that we need to be doing? Because, there's a lot of people that some of them are, they're killing it in the millions. And then some people are still just trying to figure out, and, how are they going to make $40,000, $50,000 for the first year because they just started their business?
Exactly.
Where's the point when somebody really needs to go, okay, this is serious. We need to take care of this.
That's a great question. I suggest someone who's making at least $75,000 in 1099 income should start looking at this. To give you an example, I did a meeting. I'm here in Charlotte. I went to, oh, what do you call it? I just forgot the word, where business people come together. One of them was a real estate agent.
Hmm.
She's has 4 houses on the market. She's just like, I'm about to sell a house in my area. This was August 31st for over $750,000. She started the trust on that. She got to save almost $3,900 on that first real estate deal. She's got 3 more houses on the market, but she knows it's going to, the more she sells, the more she'll save, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So just to give you an idea, worst way to, if you're single, is the most expensive way to go. So if you're doing about $75,000 a year at 22%, if I say 70%, you're going to save about $11,000. At 90%, you'll save about $14,000 that year. So it might take you 2 years to pay for the trust,
Hmm.
but it just keeps going and going and going like the Energized Bunny.
All right. All right. And with that said, just so people have an idea, and obviously, if there's variables and you can't say, that's totally fine with this, but what is a rough cost of getting a trust put together, like what you're talking about, to help people out, so they know what they're getting into? Because obviously we don't want to, we want people to go, okay, I know I need to do this. Here's something I need to be prepared for. So what are we looking at? What's a rough guesstimate on pricing?
I'll be honest.
Mhm.
There's 5 different trusts. There is the
Okay.
business trust for 1099 income earners,
Mhm.
business owners, the beneficial trust for all investors, a senior trust for someone who's over 65 and on Medicare, non-charitable trust, and then also like if you're going to do a real estate syndication.
Okay.
One trust, most of my clients are either one or the other. That's $20,000. If they decide, hey, I need the business trust and the beneficial trust, there is a discount on the second trust, $3,000 off of it, so it'd be $37,000.
Okay.
I just I just set up a syndication trust last Friday, the Granddaddy Trust, and then the 5 trusts underneath of it. There is a discount doing that because they all started the trust at the same time. But
Mhm.
my first property, that one you were talking about, the one that I got to save $10,000, the bank owned property, it paid for more than half the trust. And by the time I did my second wholesale deal, the trust is paid for.
Right.
In 3 years, I've done 29 wholesale deals. I have 12 notes where I'm the paper on the house, people pay me their mortgage. So it's like creative
Mhm.
financing, if that makes sense.
Yep.
That's interest income. I can't do options trading. I can't sleep when I do options trading. My friend does it for me. So that's dividend. Just to let you know,
Mhm.
options trader, 40% on your profits a year or less, or 60% on your profits a year or more.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
expensive.
Yeah.
So my friend does that for me, and then I have 4 rentals. So and then royalties because I sell the trust. All of that, and then my 3 online businesses. I'm not crowing, but in 3 years, I have saved 6 figures in federal taxes just with what
Mhm.
I'm doing. I
Right.
share my information because I'm like, hey, I'm just a regular Joe. I mean, or whatever you want, a regular person. When I started my real estate group, I was $184,000 in debt. Mortgage, student loans, credit card payments, 2 car payments. My brand new car got um, T-boned,
Mhm.
but I was able to pay off all of my debt, and now I'm living. I'm financial free. I'm now working with my all my nieces and nephews. They've got student loans. I'm giving them money to pay off their student loans, a little bit, but just it helps them, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. Well, and that's good. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, because then people see, number one, there's a lot of variables involved. But the second thing is to know what it's like, and know that, this isn't something that you can, have somebody do for 300 bucks. It's going to be an investment to do it. But it
Correct.
is one of
Correct.
those things that if you are, number one, if you are starting to take off, it's going to pay for itself very, very quickly. And it is a multi-generational result, not something that's, it's not about, can I pay 20,000 and save 30,000 this year type of thing. It's going to be something, it's going to probably take a little bit, but then over the time you're looking at massive amount of a difference.
Exactly. I mean,
And
when, when, you know,
one of the things that you mentioned we didn't really talk about a whole lot is also the protection that you get from
oh
this
yeah.
as well, which is, as you grow and as your business grows, these are important things. I mean, let's face it, we're in a very sue happy world. And so just because somebody, just because you have the business that's supposed to protect you, number one, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to protect you for 100%. But the second thing is, even that process, you got to deal with that garbage. And that
Time,
alone
money,
is,
hiring a lawyer.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
So, yeah.
uh, I'm going to age myself here, and I have to apologize. Do you remember O.J. Simpson
Yep.
and all the craziness he's done? He
Yep.
was acquitted for killing his wife and Ron Goldman. This is if your listeners are younger, they have no idea what I'm talking about. But O.J. Simpson, the Goldmans sued O.J. the man for
Mhm.
$135 million. O.J. has this trust. His football career, his commercials, he's in the crazy film Airplane, everything else is
Mhm.
in the trust. OJ the man, that lawsuit became frivolous.
Right.
Crazy OJ 7 years ago goes to jail. He broke into a Nevada hotel room. He goes to jail. OJ the man goes to jail. They couldn't pierce the trust. He
Right.
gets out of jail. One of my clients who does very well with online marketing. He lives down in Florida and attends the same golf course where OJ, like a country club. And he goes, OJ golfs 3 times a week. I'm like, all of OJ's possessions are in the trust,
Mhm.
and it hasn't been pierced.
Yeah.
Another example to give you an idea. One of my clients, I know him from my real estate group. He was very upset because one of his renters, he's in Chicago, 100 doors. One of the renters' dogs got out, bit the mailman. Mailman hired an attorney. The attorney was not too smart, only found two LLCs, two properties in each LLC. The mailman made $400,000, $100,000 from each one of the properties. I'll just say his first name, Patrick, was very upset. He
Mhm.
got the trust. He's now up to over 120 doors, very successful. I have never seen Patrick's RV, but I can tell you it's beautiful. One of those humongous RVs with
Mhm.
the air conditioning, the disc
Right.
on top. We had a pop up trailer. That's what we traveled in.
Right.
Back in August of this year, he was driving someplace, going from place to place. He couldn't slow down for traffic. Hit the car in front of him. That hit the car in front of her. No one's injured, thank God. She jumps out. Patrick gives the insurance card. His beneficial spendthrift trust is paying for the insurance, and it's registered on the insurance card. His driver's license has Patrick's name on it. 6 weeks later, Patrick gets a lawsuit suing him for $500,000. She sees this $250,000 RV. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Patrick is worth nothing. Patrick, the individual, is worth nothing. His 120 doors, his RV, all of that's in the trust. He sends me an email going, "You just saved me $500,000 from a lawsuit." His insurance on the RV probably went up, but the trust is paying for that.
Right.
Everything else. But Patrick has told so many other investors about this because he's like, liability alone. To give you an idea, Eli, have you ever been to Las Vegas to the Strip?
Mhm. Many
That two
times.
miles?
Yep.
That 2 miles of the Strip, there are 87 different billboards saying how to sue people. And I'm like,
Mhm.
we live in a horrible society. I hate to say it.
It's
It's
true.
crazy what people go through.
It is true. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because that's another thing that people need to think about in today's world, is especially as, we as entrepreneurs, we are aspiring to grow, and not just grow our business, but we're growing our impact. And in today's world, especially with social media, we are more visible. We are quote unquote influencers. I hate that term, but it is what it
Exactly.
is. And we are at that point where we are much more visible, and every little thing that happens can have consequences, and we have to go out of our way to protect ourselves the best we possibly can. And this is one of the tools to be able to do that.
The tools, and I'm an insurance agent. My brand new car, 3 weeks old, 7:30 in the morning. I'm driving to work back in 2019 on a major. I don't know if you've been to Phoenix, but Indian School Road. I'm the second car through the green light. The guy runs the red light. He's drunk. He's high. Has no insurance, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden, I need another car because I love Phoenix, but there's very little public transportation. I all of a sudden have two car payments, and I'm like, I went from being comfortable to like, shoot, I have to eat ramen noodles for the next 2 weeks, because someone who did something wrong
Right.
affected me. That all of a sudden I'm not comfortable anymore. If that makes
Mhm.
sense.
No, definitely. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think I told you this. I actually lived in Phoenix for 18 years. It was a very significant part of my life. It was a cool place. Much warmer.
Exactly.
I like the warm. I miss the warm.
Well, I left Phoenix to come to North Carolina because one of the real estate things I do here, I don't want to get into it, but it's called upset bids. When I came out at Christmas of 2021, I'm in Union County, which is literally, I could walk a mile and I'm in Mecklenburg County where Charlotte is, but I'm in Union County, a different county.
Hmm.
You have 10, you have to know that each county. So Union County, it was 10 days to do tax liens. Mecklenburg County, it's 10 business days. So people are like, oh, Christmas and New Year's, the weekend, everything else. I won 3 upset bids for tax liens. I wholesaled the deals. And, one of them I kept a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. I got for under $4,000 a tax lien when it upset bid. I got a contractor in there to fix it up.
Hmm.
It had to get painted and everything. For a $4,000 tax bid, I sold it for $200,000. The difference between that, I saved so much money on that one little tax bid. And my brother's like, "What the heck are you doing?" I'm like, "This is my real estate. How I do real estate. It's I love the hunt for a good deal, and if I can find a good deal, other people should find a good deal too." But you know, taxes is a taboo subject, death and taxes, and unfortunately,
Hmm.
people don't like to talk about it. But on the first page of the IRS tax code, it says it's up to you to figure out how to save taxes.
Hmm.
Follow the money. If
Yep.
the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Carnegies, and the Kennedys do this, I'm going to get political. Donald Trump's dad started this trust. If
Mhm.
the Trumps can do this,
Right.
why can't we do this? I mean, we the law firm I work for, if you contact them directly, they'll be like, nope, nope, we're accident attorneys. We don't know what you're talking about. But, they have the copyright on the Benson Financial Trust for the past 72 years. They inherited a trust that turned 350 years old in 2023. This started while we were still a colony of Britain. All of this is contract law. Back when King Henry VIII, the famous king who chopped off his wives' heads, he started the Church of England. Hey, murder a few ladies, start a church. Why not? But it's contract law. If Congress gets their act together and changes 643B, where it's written in the IRS tax code, I can't sell any trusts going forward. But my business trust and my beneficial trust, they can't touch that. It's going to go from myself to my nieces and nephews, my great
Right.
nieces and nephews, and so on and so on.
Nice. I love it. Awesome. Well, Sally, this has been awesome, and I appreciate you educating us on what you're doing and what the advantages of having a trust like this really means. Because, like I said earlier, a lot of people just don't know. And
Exactly.
you said something really really important that I want everybody. I'm going to repeat it because I want everybody to listen to this. The family names, the names that you heard Sally just talk about, just because they've done it and you haven't doesn't mean you can't. See, that's where a lot
Exactly.
of people miss the boat. They don't realize they're like, oh, well, it's because they have all the expensive attorneys and they have the money, they can buy their way out of this stuff. No, it's all legal. And yes, you have to pay money to get these things put together, which, Sally already talked about, but it's not like it's something that's completely unattainable.
Correct.
This is available to you and I. It's just not widely known because they don't really want us to know about this kind of stuff. So, it really is. So, as we're wrapping up, we're getting close to our time here. I got 2 final questions for you.
Sure.
The first of the 2 is this is the Meet Cool People show. So, in your own words, I would love to hear, what does meet cool people mean to you?
I get to work with some fascinating people. Roberto and Marianne, who have a pizzeria. I worked with Jim and his wife Jennifer, who sold a restaurant. With capital gains when you sell something. I I don't know who puts meetings on my calendar. Like when I sit down and talk to them for 30 days, I meet fascinating people with fascinating history. So I love my job.
Awesome. I love it. And the last question, how can people get a hold of you?
I appreciate that, Eli. My website, www.thetrustisyou.com. You can get a free video emailed to you. Yes, you'll put in your name, your address. And then from there, you can set up a free 30-minute tax breakthrough session with me. I take you out to NerdWallet, a free public site, to show you the formula. Hey, this is how much you'll be paying gross. This is how much you can save at 70%, and this is how much you can save at 90%. And if from there, I send them two pages of case law. I send them the articles from Forbes. When you become a client, I also send a formula on how to get Dun & Bradstreet credit worthy, because your new EIN, you're going to open a new bank account, you'll have a debit card, but you want to start building credit history with it. I had to buy $50 worth of light bulbs for 5 months from Granger, and I just eBayed them on eBay, and I used my business trust to not have to pay any taxes on that. So it's a wonderful thing.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Sally, thank you so much for coming and hanging out today. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the great wisdom that you shared. For those of you that are listening, reach out to Sally, go check out her website, watch the trading video she has. She went through an entire presentation, and that's when we originally met. That was like, this is really important stuff. It needs to get out there. Yes. And most of my people are entrepreneurs at various different levels. And the goal is, how can we just do the best things we can? And obviously being able to do things that protect ourselves, protect our business, protect our family, and plan for all those things in the future. Those are important things. So once again, Sally, thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. I appreciate you, and let's get out there. Have an amazing week.
Thank you, Eli. You too. I appreciate you having me.
And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show. Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing cool people to even more amazing cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. If you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to followuprockstar.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to followuprockstar.com and we'll see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rockstar.